Alright, today's review is going to be on the Avengers. Alright, let's go ahead and get this started off with a 7.9 on the plot. This movie's plot, I gave it a little bit above average. It's basic Earth invasion stuff, but I think the idea of bringing the characters together from their own movies, I'm gonna give it a little bit of extra credit for that, just because that is, it hadn't really been done before this, where you bring characters like fully fleshed out characters into a movie, and there's actual backgrounds for everybody. Yeah, so the plot, again, basic alien invasion type stuff here. Not much to say outside of that. The dialogue 7.3. The dialogue, whew, Joss Whedon, my guy. This is not it. This movie, I am not a fan of the dialogue. I am not a fan of explaining everything. I'm not a fan of the corny dialogue. Not a fan of it. I think you could have done 10 times better. Again, not much to say about it. Explaining a lot of stuff. Corny dialogue. Very dumbed down dialogue. Very, does the audience get this dialogue? Anyway, acting. 7.8. I feel like this is a little bit of a disappointing grade for this movie. You have all of these great actors, or at least good actors in this movie, and the performance that they turn in here, maybe it's because the dialogue is so bad that probably has a lot to do with it. But I'm not a fan of the way that these actors played these roles in this movie. I feel like from their original movies, this is a big step down. I feel like their characters kind of get dumbed down in this movie. So yeah, I gave it a 7.8. I feel like a lot of these guys kind of turned in generic performances and didn't try too hard, but I think a lot of that's probably on Joss Whedon, if I'm being honest. Cinematography. 8.6. This movie does look good. There's a couple of scenes, especially with the Chitauri and like the outer space scenes, which is not many, but I feel like those scenes in the movie look good. And then I'm trying to think, the scene where they're in the forest fighting each other, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. I feel like that looks good. Loki at that whatever that was, like a ball or event or something like that. I feel like that looked good. But yeah, the cinematography in this movie is generally, I gave it a third highest grade in Phase 1. I think it looks okay. Well, I'm saying it looks more than okay. It looks good. It does look good for an action movie. I feel like, again, older VFX, especially from the 2010s era, they do a good job of making it look realistic without making it look gray. I think that's one huge problem we have today, is everything looks so gray. But yeah, overall, the cinematography for this movie, 8.6, I feel like is an appropriate rating. And let's go ahead and move on to the highest rating for this movie, which is soundtrack. Let's be honest, this movie has one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time. The Avengers soundtrack is one of those ones that's going to go down with the Star Wars soundtracks, and it fits the movie so well. It honestly saves the movie a lot. You guys have seen the grades I've given it so far, and you will not believe where the total rating ends up based off of those ratings over there. Sorry, on my end, my screen's over there. But yeah, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Not much to say about that outside of just the theme. It does a good job of making you feel like it's a heroic team and making the moments feel epic, so to speak. All right, comedy 8.4. This movie does focus a lot on the comedy of the action comedy. They don't. I wish they'd focus a little bit more on the action of the action comedy, and I also wish they'd include a little bit of drama in there. But it is what it is. The comedy is generally good. I gave it an 8.4 though. World building, I gave it a 9. This movie establishes so much, and honestly, it has to. Because if it didn't do a good job with the comedy, the world building, and the next rating I gave a 9 on the characters, if it didn't do a good job of those things, this movie would have failed, straight up. But it doesn't. It does a good job of building the world. And then the characters, the grade for the characters, I maybe graded a little bit differently than I normally would have. I graded it for the characters that are in the movie and not the way that they built the characters up in the movie, if that makes sense. I just graded it based on who appears in the movie, and maybe that's probably the wrong way to go about it, but I feel like if this movie doesn't have that, then what does it have? Yeah, ensemble cast, a bunch of interesting characters playing in the same sandbox together. That's generally the intrigue that it gives me. The action in this movie, I gave it an 8.8. Again, this movie has got to focus on action. Now remember, I did say it focuses more on the comedy of the action comedy. The action grade is higher than the comedy rating. However, that's just the balance of these movies. If you went too far with a comedy, that's where you get Thor: Love and Thunder, and you don't want that. This movie's got like I'd say it's like a 60-40 split action comedy. Movies like Thor: Love and Thunder have like a 80-20 split comedy action. You don't want to do that. Definitely don't want to do that. Yeah, so the action is generally good in this movie, and then for the last bonus rating, I gave it a 9.5 on iconic. If I'm being honest, when you asked me to think of the most iconic action movie of all time, for some reason my mind passes up Star Wars and goes to the original Avengers movie. That's the movie I think of. Even more so than Infinity War and Endgame. Maybe if we give that more time, I'll think of Infinity War and Endgame just as well as I think of the Avengers movie. But that's where I'm at right now. I think you could make a serious argument that the original Avengers movie is the most iconic action movie of all time. Obviously, if you wanted to mention Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and I'm sure I'm missing something else, maybe the Lord of the Rings movies, I'm sure those could have a general argument, but when I think of that movie, I think of the Avengers. Yeah, so the total rating is a 8.5. That is the second highest in Phase 1 for the ratings that I'm looking at over there, I should say, even though it's over there. Yeah, the ratings really don't match up, but it's mainly the bonus ratings that get it there. And yeah, anyway, that's my review for the Avengers. Let me know what you guys think about my review. Let me know what you guys think about the movie. Let me know what you guys think in general. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and peace.